Okay, come get your treats here. Oh, you're already sitting here for your treat. Oh, Binks sure wants his treat. Huh, yes, he does. And what about you? Do you know anything like that? I don't think you do. You're just being sweet. Good morning, everybody. I know I wasn't planning on doing a coffee hour this morning, but it's one of those days for me. I needed a second cup of coffee. And I wanted to introduce the start of a series I'm going to do. It's regarding pet foods, which I'm thinking is dear to everyone's heart. Those that have pets certainly want to make sure they're feeding and taking care of their pets in the correct way that's beneficial to the pets, which in return will be beneficial to you. So to start off today, I first want to say, how is everybody? Hope you're all doing well. I'm doing great. I'm happy that you're here and hope you'll enjoy this series. Okay, let's get started. Just first, a little bit of background. By no way am I trying to tell you I'm a veterinarian, a nutritionist, or anything of that sort. But what I can tell you is I've been involved with animals practically my whole life, you might as well say. For a good 25, 30 years of my life, I have raised both cats, dogs, and, believe it or not, horses. I have shown them, I've had them as pets, I have raised them, so I have always been involved in pets, and I guess that puts me involved in pet foods. And I just thought I would let you know that. I'm not just a pet owner that, well, I don't mean to say it that way. I have a little more background, I guess, than the average person is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to give you the boring things probably. Some statistics to start off with. These on the table are just a sampling of a few different types of foods. In the beginning of this, you saw my two little companions, which are now here, getting their treats, which are these little tiny soft chewies, which are little jacks. Throughout the years, I often used to feed the actual Jack dog food. I always thought that having been raising and breeding animals, that they should have the best that I could give them. I did have a breeder one time tell me, you only get out of it what you put into it. And I truly believe that she was definitely right. Anyways, back to those boring statistics. And I've been digging and doing a lot of research, as much as I could. Some of it more recent wasn't something that I wanted to present here, actually. I went back as far as 2013, and this will probably surprise you. The top 5, I believe it was, brands that were dominating the pet food market at that time was Mars, and their annual revenue, I'm going to give you annual revenues for each one of those, approximate annual. Mars was $17,215,800,000 per year for the year of 2013. Nestle's was another one at $11,722,000,000. Procter & Gamble, that's a surprise, isn't it? $3 billion. I think it was 200 million. Hills, and most of us with pets have heard that brand name used many times, Hills. 2,211,000,000. And this is a brand I've never really looked into, or I don't recall actually seeing on too many pet products, but it was called Big Heart Pet Brands at 1,989,000,000. That was in 2013, and of course, things have skyrocketed since then. Now there's a wide variety available to us today, but some of the questions I'm going to raise are, in that wide variety that we see, what actually is inside those bags? Do we really even know? There is definitely a problem within the pet food industry, and unless you start digging, you'll probably just continue feeding what you think is a good diet for your pets, based on what you're being told, actually. There are over 80 million dogs and 96 million cats. In 2013, again, I'm going back that far, people spent $60 billion in pet expenses yearly. Now, if you have a pet, I'm sure it's all because you love pets and you want to take the best care of them. And you give them love, exercise, fresh water, and you buy their food at places that you believe offer you some convenience to purchase, a promise of correct nutrition, and familiarity with pet food brands. You expect maybe if you walk into PetSmart, Petco, any grocery store or pet food store, that they're going to have some familiarity with the different brands. And we never thought of what might be in those foods until in 2007, when a toxic chemical, which many of you may remember was melamine, was found in some foods. I think what has happened is we as consumers have been buying food for our pets based more on what the pet food companies want to sell us, not necessarily what is good for pets. Now, at times you may see me get a little excited because I'm very passionate about this subject, having been involved so long with so many different animals. It's something that's really, really dear to my heart. And you're gonna probably notice that in my voice changes because I'm really, really into this, I guess we'll say. Recently I've had some people saying, gee, my dog's licking his paws or scratching his fur. The veterinarian gave me some medication. Is there something else I can do? My answer would be, first thing I would do would be checking the label on your dog food. The manufacturers of many of the foods, I'm not saying all, but many of the foods, are obviously going to try to make it as inexpensive for them to produce as they can. So therefore, you're likely to see corn, wheat, and soy, which is a very inexpensive grain for them to purchase to introduce into the food. Corn is really just a no-no. Corn has a lot, as you know, just for yourself, even as a human being, carbohydrates. That's what you're feeding when there's corn in that diet. And carbohydrates can be a precursor to health problems later on. Maybe not right away, but it certainly can take its toll on the animal's body. There's been a lot of controversy over the raw food diet, and we're going to take that up a little further in maybe one of the next videos. In my banks, please. Sorry about that. This is how I live. In my digging, I checked into this because I'm saying, you know, we're being told that they're domesticated animals. They don't require what they did in the wild and so forth and so on. So I wanted to look into that a little more. Pardon me while I have a sip of coffee. I can see my voice is getting a little scratchy. So, in digging into this, what I found out is, which I guess if I had thought about it more, maybe I would have thought of this, but I didn't. All different species have biologically appropriate food requirements. In other words, the things that they need. A snake needs this, a bird needs that. This is their food requirements that they need to live. If they don't get that requirement, most likely they're going to die. Now, cats and dogs seem to be a little different in a way when it comes to that. They seem to be able to adjust to eating more than just what their biologic requirement is. And they don't die. So basically what happens when you buy the foods with all those other things is we can continue to feed nutrient deficient food, but over the years the pet's vitality will decline. There will be degenerative changes. So while you may have bought that less expensive food, it will eventually cost you more in the way of veterinary fees. Cats are carnivores, and I don't mean to, it looks like I only have dog food items out here, which is true because that's what I have at present. But cats, I don't want to dismiss kitties because a lot of people have them, and I myself have had them. I used to raise Bengal cats as well. Cats are carnivores, and they consume meat to thrive. They don't require carbs, they don't. So, you know, when we see these kitties that are so basically overweight, and it's causing kidney problems and other problems with their health, look at the label on your either your canned food or your dry kibble food, and I guarantee you're going to see a great deal of carbs in there. And just like us, if we take away our carbs, we tend to lose a little bit of weight. They do require cats require a high protein, they really do, and moisture, as well as taurine. And actually, recently, there's been more talk about taurine being available in some of the dog foods, especially the ones that are now coming out as a raw food diet, because there's taurine present in some of the meats. Dogs are carnivores, and then this is where we go into part of what the argument is today, is that people say, well, you know, they've been domesticated over the years and they don't require what they ate in the wild. This is really actually not true, I don't believe. A dog genetically contains 99.9% of wolf DNA. They have not bred out their wolf DNA. Yes, they have different looks. I think that comes under a different type of a gene. So yes, we have little tiny dogs, we have big dogs and everything, but basically their DNA is still a wolf DNA. And that is what wolves ate in the wild. They're carnivores. Bottom line, there's no getting around that. So feeding them a lot of carbs and wheat and soy and all that, I mean, you yourself probably try not to eat too much in the way of soy products because it raises a lot of problems health-wise. So that's just sort of a quick synopsis of some of the things that we're going to discuss in some of the upcoming videos. At the end of this series, I am going to put some links under that last video, and if I can, I'll go back into the other ones and put it there too. To a wonderful place to go and listen to different veterinarians of all kinds, people from AFCO, from the USDA. It's just going to amaze you the things that we have been told that we should look for, like, meets all AFCO requirements. Well, do any of us really stop to think, who is AFCO? Who are they associated with? Where did those requirements come from? Did they come from the USDA? Does the USDA have any requirements that we don't know about or that aren't even advertised about? These are all things that we're going to discuss in the future. I'm sure you're going to find it extremely interesting. I myself kind of found it a little bit mind-blowing, and thoughts that I had never imagined were going on in the pet food industry. Now, I'm not saying all pet foods are bad by any means, and I'm not picking on one particular pet food. We're also going to go through labels, like this happens to be Blue Buffalo. We're going to go through the label and see what's on different things, what might be a good thing, what things might not be good to have. This happens to be a human grade dog food. This is a dehydrated food. This is what my dogs eat. They lick their dish clean. It's actually all human grade products, and to be honest with you, when I'm pouring the hot water over it to hydrate it, I'm thinking to myself, that smells so good, I could eat it myself. And honestly, I could, because it's all human grade ingredients. However, to looking at it kind of discourages me from tasting it. You know, kind of like when you're spooning that baby food out of the jar into the baby's mouth and you take a little taste and you go, ooh, what am I feeding my poor child? Anyways, these are all things that we're going to look into in the future. I hope you'll come back to see those videos, because I know there's something in each video that you're going to be able to draw upon and maybe reevaluate your food, or maybe you'll say, gee, I'm feeding exactly what I should be feeding. And I hope that's the case for everyone. And I guess that's going to be it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm happy you were here and took time out of your day to come and listen. I appreciate that. And till the next video, see you soon. Bye-bye.